mind back to late last year. Yes, I know it's a bit hard, isn't it? November time, and this saw the arrival of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. There are different versions of it broadcasting around the world, but over here it created something of a bit of a fizz because they billed it as having a royal member inside that particular camp. That's right, it was Mike Tindall. Now, Mike recently has been out and about, back doing what he does, his podcast, promoting his own brand, that sort of thing. And he was asked recently about the former campmate that he didn't get particularly close to, the former British Health Secretary, Matt Hancock. It's interesting, basically, because Mike said, look, he wasn't necessarily against Matt, but he wasn't something that he was looking to be in his sort of friendship group, the WhatsApp group, that sort of thing. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because as I said to you before, Matt Hancock, whether you like him or not, seemingly tried his very best to show a different side to the more political side that was presented on various TV shows prior to that. Last week, he went on national television over here on Good Morning Britain to defend the reasons for going into the jungle and picking up £320,000, not the 850 that the papers were claiming that he was getting, right? So once again, more lies. He has donated over £10,000 to the charity that he said he was going into the jungle for. But it's interesting also to note because none of the other contestants have actually said, well, what have they done with their money? Nobody suggested that they should, but there's no sort of goodness from their heart. So whether you like Matt or not, you have to look at it and say, well, at least he did what he said. But what I like is this particular story over here, because when he was at the Good Morning Britain studios, filmed in the same studio, is the daytime TV host chat show, Lorraine. And it was suggested that he might pop down to see Lorraine on her show to follow up on that conversation. Matt politely declined. This wasn't met, shall we say, with great relish from the production team, as ever, allegedly. Now, this is simply because Lorraine's group apparently couldn't decide whether they were going to pay for it or not, because already ITV had paid substantially for Matt to appear on that morning show. I say substantially, more than the £150 that they normally pay each guest. Isn't it fascinating to note, though, that someone like Lorraine considers herself to be not necessarily going to ask herself, but seemingly just send somebody along to ask if he'd pop on and appear on the show, given the fact that Lorraine also has a rather murky track record with her tax problems and allegedly being an actress and not necessarily wishing to pay all of the tax because she's a character, not a real person. Very politely but very succinctly, Matt Hancock declined. They tried to turn this into a negative, but really it simply backfired on them. Back to Mike and Matt. According to Matt, he said, look, they got on incredibly well and he doesn't hold any grudges. Seemingly, though, for Mike Tindall, it's proving a little bit harder to get over that. Maybe one day, these two boys who did so well in the absolute Australian jungle may see eye to eye. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.